Picture this. It's a hot summer day, the kind where anticipation just hangs in the air. Kids are screaming playfully out in the streets, birds are chirping away, and this warm breeze is rustling through the trees. School's starting soon, but right now, the days are long, the weather's hot, and the whole neighborhood just feels alive.
And inside one particular kitchen, there's a tray of warm brownies. The air smells absolutely amazing. A freckly girl named Isabella runs in, her eyes locked on that gooey, extra chocolate chip center resting right there on the cooling rack. But her mom playfully slides the tray away. "Nope, not for you," she says. "These are for our new neighbors." Instantly, Isabella's disappointment vanishes. A new family is moving into that big blue house on the corner. She stares out the window, wondering exactly who is about to step out of the car. Meanwhile, all the way across town, a girl named Adalia is packing up her entire life. We're talking brown moving boxes and big black trash bags. She's tearing down pictures from her bedroom wall, carefully packing away her shiny lip glosses. As she hops into the back of a U-Haul truck, she watches her favorite playground and her old friends just fade into a memory. She's heading toward a world that feels completely unknown. When that U-Haul finally rolls up, the two girls meet. Isabella proudly walks Adalia right across the street to introduce her to the neighborhood kids, Will, Liam, and Katie. Isabella smiles and says, "Hey, this is our new friend. Adalia?" Adalia gently corrects her, but then Katie chimes in, "It was Aaliyah, right?" And then Isabella asks, "How about we call you Leah? Is that cool?" Adalia just nods at the ground. She stays completely quiet as the other kids run off, leaving her standing there, alone in the grass.
As the sun creeps higher into the sky, it hits peak heat. It's time for some minnows in the water. One of the kids shouts out that they should all hit the pool, and everyone just scatters, running home to change into their bathing suits. Adalia sprints back to her new house, practically begging her mom to let her go. Her mom says yes, but with one very strict condition. Don't even think about getting your hair wet. See, Adalia's hair had just been washed, blown out, pressed, and trimmed. One single drop of water, and it would instantly revert into a curly bush.
By 3 o'clock, the afternoon sequence is in full swing. Swimming, drying off, cartwheels, and waiting for the ice cream truck. The other kids are splashing around, doing cannonballs and handstands, their wet hair plastered flat across their faces. Isabella swims right up to Adalia, telling her she has to go underwater for their game of sharks and minnows. But Adalia refuses. She just sits on the steps, the water only coming up to her chest, carefully dodging the splashes. She explains she isn't allowed to get her hair wet. Isabella just looks at her, totally confused, and says, "It'll dry." After they get out of the pool, the kids are sitting in the grass. Adalia lets out a sigh, pulls a bottle out of her bag, and squeezes out a handful of white lotion. Isabella asks if it's sunblock. Adalia shakes her head. No, it's just lotion so her feet won't get ashy after swimming. Will swims over, completely puzzled by this. Ashy? Like a fireplace? Adalia explains it just means dry skin. Quietly, she remembers how her old friends used to trade different-smelling shea butters. Will just mutters, "Weird," tags Isabella, and splashes away. The afternoon rolls on, eventually leading to a moment where Adalia will find herself with her hands above her head. But right now, the kids are just drying off, doing cartwheels under that hot sun in their bathing suits. They're straining to hear that familiar jingle of the big white ice cream truck, but there's no sign of it. Will suggests heading over to Katie's house for bomb pops, but Adalia says she needs to check with her parents first. Isabella points out it's literally just down the block. But before Adalia could even get a word out, someone spots a car. Will points down the street. Over there, leaning against a squad car, is Officer Fee. So there's no ice cream truck, but Isabella knows Officer Fee always keeps these big belt pouches stuffed full of blow pops. Her face just lights up. She grabs Adalia's hand, telling her all about how nice he is, the jokes he tells, fully expecting Adalia to run down the street with her to score some candy. But Adalia stops dead in her tracks. She completely freezes. And then, her hands shoot up high above her head. Isabella stares at her, totally lost. "Why are you putting your arms up like that?" she asks. Adalia answers really quietly, "Because that's what you're supposed to do." Isabella tries to play it off, joking that they aren't in any trouble. But this incredibly heavy silence drops right between them. Back at Adalia's old house, the police didn't exactly come around just to say hi. Adalia's face twists up with concern. She mutters that she has to go home to unpack. Isabella calls after her, "Will we see you tomorrow, Leah?" Adalia abruptly turns on her heel. "It's Adalia," she yells aggressively over her shoulder, and just like that, she's gone, sprinting back to her house. Isabella is left standing barefoot in the grass, hearing her friends giggling with the officer down the street, while this heavy knot sinks deep into her belly.
Inside her new house, the afternoon turns into some quiet kitchen counter conversations. Adalia grabs a rag and silently starts wiping down the cabinets. Her parents casually ask how her day was. She mentions the neighborhood kids were hanging out with a police officer, but she stayed put with her hands in front of her. Her mom and dad immediately look at each other. The wiping stops. They take this long, deep, heavy breath. Her mom leans in and gently explains that some of the freedoms her new friends enjoy, well, they aren't going to be the exact same for her. Adalia just keeps scrubbing that countertop. Her mind is racing. Should she have said hi to the officer? Should she have spoken up more about her name? She keeps wondering, what did I do wrong? She really wants to feel at home in this new community. She wants to make friends. But standing right there in her brand new kitchen, she just feels like an alien. Meanwhile, over at Isabella's house, Isabella trudges into her own kitchen, visibly frustrated. She throws herself down onto the floor, completely ignoring the fact she's still in a wet bathing suit. She keeps reaching up, stealing slices of chopped bell pepper while her dad stands at the counter prepping dinner. She blurts out to her parents that the new girl seems really upset with her, and she has absolutely no idea why. Isabella runs through the whole day. The nickname, the hair rule, the lotion, and then, that moment, Adalia threw her hands up at the police officer. Her parents' faces shift. They look uncomfortable. Her mom explains that Adalia probably put her hands up because someone taught her that is exactly how she stays safe. They tell her that because Adalia is black, people might look at the color of her skin and make unfair guesses about what she might do. Isabella asks straight up how she can help fix it. Her dad gives her some very clear steps. First, he tells her to practice calling Adalia by her full name. Second, he reminds her not to exclude or single Adalia out if her hair or her skin routine is different. And third, respect her boundaries. Just listen to her. Isabella nods, chewing on a slice of pepper, already working out a plan. Fast forward to the next morning. Adalia, a girl with a noble name, wakes up and slides on her fuzzy slippers. Outside her window, the neighborhood is already waking up. She hears kids giggling, the sharp clatter of a skateboard rolling down the street, and then a voice calls out from the yard. "Leah! Leah, it's us! Come outside!"
Adalia's mom sits down right next to her on the bed. She asks if Adalia told them to call her that. Adalia shakes her head no, but mutters that she doesn't really see why it's such a big deal. Her mom gently but very firmly reminds her, "We named you Adalia for a reason, because it means a noble one." She tells her that her name carries meaning, giving Adalia this invisible armor she needs right before she walks over to open that front door. Adalia opens the door and steps out onto the porch. Liam immediately asks what took her so long, saying they've been calling her name forever. Adalia stands her ground and says, "I heard you calling someone's name, but it wasn't mine." The kids disfreeze. They stare down at their shoes. You can feel this quiet realization washing right over them, and they immediately start apologizing. The others grab their skateboards and run off to the pool, but Isabella stays behind. Soon enough, 2 big jump ropes will make an appearance, but right now, Isabella just apologizes. She apologizes for using the nickname, for the whole thing with Officer Faye, and for just not listening. Adalia apologizes too, for running off like she did. They just look at each other for a second. The silence stretches out between them, until finally, a small smile breaks across both of their faces. Adalia sprints back inside to ask her parents if she can go swimming. They'd been listening to the whole exchange through the open window. As Adalia grabs her towel, her dad steps forward. He hands her 2 big double Dutch jump ropes they had packed away in one of the moving boxes. "Take these," he says with this warm smile, "and teach them a little thing or two." Down at the pool, that heavy, awkward silence from yesterday, completely gone. The kids are splashing around, yelling out Marco and Polo. Isabella had specifically suggested they play that game. Why? Because in Marco Polo, nobody actually has to go underwater. Adalia is completely in her element, laughing, singing out, and her hair is perfectly dry. As the afternoon wanes, a cooling breeze sweeps through the yard. Adalia picks up the ropes, and the very last thing you hear is the sharp, rhythmic smack of the double Dutch ropes hitting the concrete, perfectly in sync with the sound of laughter.